With The Mandalorian Season 3's finale now over and a thing of the past, a lot of Star Wars fans are now looking forward to the Ahsoka Tano series, which by the way debuts this August, which by the way is a very perfect month because this is really setting things up for the fall of 2023 where Skeleton Crew is supposed to drop, where a lot of fans, and even myself, remain very skeptical about that show. But I think it's a better move that Skeleton Crew is coming out after Ahsoka in case Skeleton Crew is going to get a lot of fan criticism. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, given that Kathleen Kennedy has been responding to the fan backlash, the fan criticism against the whole Rey situation and her Star Wars movie, as well as the fan backlash against The Mandalorian Season 3, and basically she has not been labeling the fans too well and calling them toxic or calling them all these different names and stuff around those lines, but moving on, she had a couple of more things to say about what the fans thought about Mando Season 3, about what they like to call a bait and switch with the third installment by, of course, Lucasfilm, and she had a couple of things to say that weren't the nicest things, essentially, toward the fan base, so let's get right into it. Now, we know that Kathleen Kennedy's, golden shows are basically Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte. These two shows are basically her visions of departing away from George Lucas, really kind of dismantling his philosophy of Star Wars and what it truly stands for and what it truly means for a fan. But moving on to the next thing here, alright? Given that Kathleen Kennedy is very much in tune with two shows at once, with Kathleen Kennedy now limited to holding creative power over Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, she recently went on to talk more directly to the fandom about the fan backlash against The Mandalorian Season 3, where she didn't have the greatest things to say about the fandom by stating the following. I just think fans are overreacting. Many fans are clearly seem to have some form of an issue with having a strong female lead being the center of a show. I will never understand it, and it's why I am so glad that we got the chance to focus on The Acolyte, which is mainly a female-led show. But it never really surprised me that we got the reaction that we did from many fans that try to ruin it for others. Though I didn't really have a role in this season when they were filming, I did oversee the script and felt whatever we did was better and superior than what we did for Season 2. Fans claiming that we did a quote-unquote bait and switch, or whatever they like to call it, is just flat out wrong. That's never our intention to mislead fans. It was never our intention. But what we did want to do was surprise fans about who the new focus was going to be in this particular season. Now, let me just stop right here quickly for a second, guys, about what Kathleen Kennedy's putting out there. She's responding to how a lot of fans had called Season 3 a bait and switch, essentially. A lot of fans are calling it that because of what happened to Djarin getting watered down or being put to the side a little bit. In fact, in that very episode where it was focusing on Jack Black and Lizzo, where basically Din and, of course, Bo-Katan are investigating the battle droids, Din Djarin begins, kicking those battle droids and doing something very wrong, and Bo-Katan calling him out on making a very bad decision. It's little things like that where fans felt Din Djarin was doing really odd things that didn't make him seem so smart and stuff around those lines. That's just one little tiny example. But moving on, Kathleen Kennedy is really going all out, saying how the fans are overreacting, the fans are really going overboard with their reaction towards Season 3, and how they're just afraid that there's a strong female-led character in this particular one, specifically, like she says. Obviously, we don't have an issue with that. We didn't have a problem with Gina Carano as Cara Dune, but what fans do have a problem with, ultimately, is when you kind of trick your fan base into thinking who the main lead is in an actual season, and then kind of switching things around. So obviously, Season 1 and 2 really made Din Djarin like the main focus, and this season, for sure, felt like it was more so focused on Bo-Katan. There's no doubt about that. That's just a fact. So On to the next thing about what Kathleen Kennedy had to say is that she goes on to state, I think fans get confused with what they call a bait and switch with subverting expectations. It's a great way of filmmaking to keep the fans in suspense. I feel we did what we needed to do with Djarin in this tale, and it was a great tale to lower expectations for him to become a side character in the show, to provide Bo-Katan the limelight that she needed. I don't know what John and Dave are doing with 4, since that's all up to them, but they are doing something different. They are stripping things down and doing this sort of new thing with the next one. So I really can't say much on that. Fans just need to relax and realize it's just a show and holds no impact on one's life whatsoever. That is something many fans need to realize. This is purely just entertainment and nothing more. And what I have to say about that, by the way, guys, to Kathleen Kennedy is that clearly, Star Wars is not just a movie or a show. There is something truly special about it that goes beyond it being just entertainment. It's something very magical, something very special about it at the core that you really can't just mess around with. That's the ultimate truth right there. You can't just, tarnish the brand or do things that are going to upset fans. It's something very different than Marvel, in my opinion at least. Something very different than Harry Potter or Dune. Star Wars can never be touched by anything else when it comes to the magic that it holds, especially with the prequels and the originals and stuff around those lines. There's something so different about all of it. So, Kathleen Kennedy right here, essentially, really kind of just saying that there was no bait and switch, and how basically she's saying that fans got confused, that bait and switching was being confused with subverting expectations. And I think a lot of fans are getting tired of that too, with this whole era of subverting expectations. It really started with Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. That's really where it all started to begin, and why fans got so tired of it happening in different franchises out there, different brands, right? It was almost like a trend that started after Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. There's no doubt about that, and has been continuing ever on since. So, I don't know about you guys. Do you feel that Mando Season 3 was a bait and switch? Was it not a bait and switch? Obviously Din Djarin did get put to the wayside somewhat, where focused more so on Bo-Katan. But ultimately, I think, when we look at Kathleen Kennedy and how she says things like, it's just a show and fans need to relax, and how fans are overreacting, stuff around those lines, I think she needs to realize that Star Wars is very special to a lot of people out there. It's not just flat out entertainment. At the core, it is entertainment, let's be honest, but there's something more to it than just that. Fans grew up with this. Fans actually went through a lot of things in their lives with Star Wars, and there's something about Star Wars that takes a lot of tales from mythology and mixes it in together with something else that really does make it something truly special. So just keep that in mind there, that it's something of its own. So anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding from night to moon.